Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our world of darkness. And this is my Noddist library, at least it's the backdrop I'm going to be using for it. And we're here today because we have a book review to do, which I'm very, very excited about. I just got my hands on a copy of Forbidden Religions. And Forbidden Religions is a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition supplement that was made as a continuation of the Cult of the Blood Gods book. So let's go ahead and jump into the pages of that. Alright, so here we are. And let's go ahead and get out of the way for you guys. Here we are. I just want to point out, as I always point out, look at this gorgeous artwork that we have for the cover here. We have this person who is invertedly crucified, who is being drained by, excuse my mouse, I'll put it behind me, who's being drained by these obvious kindred. This just a gorgeous piece of art, which I'm loving. And let's see, we've got the design team here, developed by John Burke and Matthew Dawkins. So we got the Gentleman Gamer involved in this. Also, he's in the writing crew. You can see all the amazing people who were actually involved in this, and the special thanks and all that. By all means, please put some effort into reading that so you can see what's going on. Let's get past this, and again, look at this. Look at this art. Like, I understand a lot of people miss the whole pen and ink comic book style art that some of the older versions had, but I think it's because when I first got into game, I got involved in the LARP, and most of it was just kind of cheesy photos. They actually kind of looked like LARP photos. So it is nice to see this. We have an opening story here. I want to see. Oh God, look at this! Look at this art. Like, you can see the pain on this guy's face, and the detached indifference on this one's face. It's so amazing. Pathways to power. Kindred religions are founded upon a promise. What that promise is varies, from salvation to annihilation and anything else besides. Perhaps the most common reason for kindred to be drawn into a cult is the promise of unbridled power that will allow them to crush their enemies, wash away their nightly fears, and impress their social circles. Power is the reason many kindred rise at night, and preserving it is the focus of most of their resources. I cannot get over how much I love the concept of the cults in this, because, I mean, we had some mentioning of the cults of Mithras and stuff like that in the older settings, but nothing's really gone this far. It was really up to the storytellers and stuff, which is great to come up with the ideas for this, but the fact that it's so in your face that there's established canonical cults just gives you a good open understanding of what you can throw in your game. This is this is a very busy police station here right now. Oh my God, because the picture just carries over. Okay, so this is the first thing that I want to talk about. This is something really cool. When we get into the Spark of War and stuff right here, it gets into the convictions. Each of these individual cults have their own idea of what convictions are. And right here it says Convictions of the Spear. And this is for the Temple of the Spear, the Soldier's Code, the Spark of War. Let's see, is there a... Here we go. The Shattered Spear. I'm just going to get into this a little bit. The Shattered Spear has existed far longer than the Camarilla, or so it's in here its claim. They bear the blood of Artemis Orthia, first and most beloved of Ventru's children, and the goddess of ancient Sparta, who led the vanguard against the Bruja of Carthage and fell battling the darkness that seized that city in its vile grip. The spear operates in secret, each warrior standing firm against the tide of Gehenna and the diabolical forces that lurk outside the civilized kindred society. For who better to fight the savage demon worshippers and blood-drunk diabolarists than the Clan of Kings? So we have here a Ventru cult that is based on the concept of the goddess Artemis and the tenets of Sparta. That being said, I don't want to get too much into it because this is something that you guys really got to read for yourself. It's so amazing. I like the fact that you can actually see that there's a spearhead in her hand right here. But when we get down to it, we have the convictions of the spear. The convictions held by the members of the cult draw from the Masonic ideals of Spartan warriors, espousing valor in combat and adherence to the faith of Artemis or Thea. Now, I was actually just in a conversation not too long ago how people were very confused, at least the people that I was talking to were confused that Artemis doesn't have a lore sheet, and she's actually not mentioned in the Ventru lore sheet that goes over all of the different higher bloodlines. But check this out. Never falter in the face of battle. The cult's warriors enter battle willingly. Displays of cowardice are anathema to believers. They lead from the front, refusing to allow others to enter danger on their behalf. Always seek to live, not to die. While seeming contradictory to their boldness in entering combat, the spear sees this tenet as a simple matter. Even in combat, fight to live. For then you will fight with a greater ferocity than those who do not care if they fall. All warriors may fall, but only those who sought life after the blood and pain of battle may know they fought with valor. Never deny the word of the voice. The voice speaks the words of Artemis or Thea. While she speaks, those words are to be followed. To deny their words is to dishonor yourself in the eyes of the cult. Do not drink of the heart's blood. The voice has decreed that Devourer is the greatest of sins among civilized kindred. Those who drink of the heart's blood and consume the soul of another are enemies to the spear, to be destroyed. Never suffer the denizens of hell, nor those who consort with them, as Orthea fell in combat against the followers of hell. So should the spear fight them with their ferocity. Diabolists and demon worshippers are the greatest of the spear's enemies, and to consort with them or their masters is to betray the purpose of one's blood. So this goes on a little bit more. It talks about the perspectives of the different groups and stuff like that before it moves on to another group called the Withered Ones. But let's just go ahead and hop back up here so we have this to talk about. The reason why I am so big on this book specifically is because of these alternate convictions. Each one of these cults has their own versions of what the convictions should be for individual people. And I would actually say that these convictions should replace your tenets, your chronicle tenets, for the way that the game should be run. And I'm even saying that your chronicle tenet, there should actually be more in there, because as you can see with this one, I'm jumping all over the place. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 there. I say go ahead and keep your personal tenets with your touchstones and all that stuff, but the fact is, I see this as you are on a path of enlightenment. If these are seen as a set of chronicle tenets that are being placed on your character, even though you might just be bypassing the game's standard chronicle tenets. If you are in a cult, I feel that you have been brainwashed enough. Even if we are talking about the Artemis or Thea cult, the cult of the spear here, these people have been through so much that the leaders of their cult have pushed out their old convictions of humanity and replaced them with this. And I really do see this as a path of the spear. And this is actually brushing in very, very close to the kind of things that we're going on about in Midnight Mass. And we're going to start going over paths of enlightenment and that stuff. So let's go ahead and check out the Withered Ones. Every society tells stories about the boogeyman and mythological monsters that stalk the dark, preying on those who wander too far from the safety of the light. Kindred societies, despite being made up of those very monsters in the minds of humanity, are no exception. The myth of the Niktuku has haunted Clan Nosferatu since before recorded history. The thought that the most secretive and hidden of the clans of Cain is hunted by something even more secretive amuses many sewer rats within the clan. Most who have even heard the stories view the Niktuku as just a myth, nothing more. It's all too easy and sometimes fun to write off stories of sudden disappearances of their kin as the doings of some shadowy monster, but little evidence exists to prove that these creatures exist. Sensible kindred, doubters claim, shouldn't fear such tales. After all, those who believe spend their existence huddled in fear in the warrens, save for those known as the withered ones. Now let's go ahead and see what the withered convictions are. The convictions held by the withered ones help to keep them from descending to Wathael, though they remain only temporarily measured at best. Do not hesitate to slake your hunger on the unwitting. The Nosferatu who grow too lax in their security or too resistant in their urging of the paranoia deserve their destruction. The withered see them as easy targets and devour them to emulate and serve the Niktuku. Never leave signs of your passage. A Nosferatu who disappears without evidence as to their fate strikes fear into the hearts of the clan. The withered use this to their advantage. Practicality, of course, also plays a role. With no evidence to lead back to them, they can continue to strike at the clan in secret. Never strike another withered. The withered ones are few, and thus, as a measure of practicality, view attacking other members of the cult as an anathema. A strike against another withered who remains true to the cause is wasted. They feel as long as they all share the same purpose. Destroy each other deprives them of the numbers that aid them in their ability to do their sacred work. We are talking about a group of Nosferatu who have formed a cult around worshiping the Niktuku and are trying to do the Niktuku's work by taking out their own clan. How screwed up is that? Now, I like this. I like the idea of this path of the withered, I guess, which does bring into whole new ideas of what this path of enlightenment could actually lead to. And I am going to strictly keep stating that in my opinion, these convictions that your characters could very well take to help flesh out your character shows that they are no longer following the rules of humanity. Now, with this also comes Obfuscate, level 2, Ghost Passing. We are not going to go into detail on the disciplines, but there is a discipline marked down for this. Alright, then, here we go. We have the Shepherds of, I'm going to butcher this again, Uroshogi. I am bad with the way that these letters go together. Uroshogi is a 4th generation Methuselah of immense power, who according to some is the greatest sorcerer to ever have existed. At the time of the destruction of the second city, he followed Hakim, his sire, to Alamut. At some point, at least 1800 years ago, he entered torpor. He slumbered through the rise of Tremere and the Hekata. He slumbered while the prophet Muhammad was born and the archangel Gabriel dictated the Quran. He slumbered before Christianity became a major force in the world. The Jews, of course, existed, but to Uroshogi, their faith was nothing beside the laws of Hakim. Uroshogi awoke towards the end of the 20th century. He spent time updating himself on events of the mortal and kindred worlds, and what he learned displeased him. Not only had several new clans not blessed by the ages arisen and come to power, but vampires, even those of the Banu Hakim, had fallen to religions of the kind. The Methuselah determined that he would purge vampires of this weakness, and reinstate the laws of Hakim. As the eldest of the blood, Urshulgi regards himself as the one who holds the power of unlife or final death over all vampires, those of the blood, as well as the children of Cain. Only a mind ravaged by the ages, torpor, and the beast could understand his reasonings or his acts. So we are actually talking about the other group of Banu Hakim now. This makes it so that you can actually play Banu Hakim that are not part of the Camarilla. This is the Ulamat, the Eagle's Nest brood, who are following the laws of Hakim. And this goes all over. And I just gotta, come on, man, look at this. Look at this gorgeous art. Now, I'm very interested in seeing what the shepherd's convictions are. Always keep faith with those sworn to the service of Urshulgi. There is remarkably little squabbling, let alone serious rivalry, among the followers of Urshulgi. If a pasha or a sibling falls away from the teachings, their peers dispose of them quietly, and, if of higher generation, diablerize. A shepherd always goes to the aid of a sibling who calls for assistance. Show no mercy to followers of false religions. Followers of the religions of the kind are unworthy of the blood. This applies to all clans, not just the Ashira. The religions of the kind are for the kind. Nevertheless, it is permissible to use them to protect the kind from the grim reality that they live and die within. Never kill without profit. When you kill a vampire, make every effort to drink their soul. If their soul is beneath you, find a sibling who can benefit and gift them the power. This way, the shepherds of Urshulgi prosper and grow strong. Holy crap! We can actually play these things that were considered a terrifying SPC at some point. You know, this gives you the ability to run a game that's set in Alamat, to work on the ways that the Prophet of Hakim has decided to go about things. And this is amazing. It even goes over the laws that Urshulgi has commanded, the laws of Hakim. So this is something that opens up such a wide variety of abilities for play. Not only just for SPCs, but also for PCs. And with a new ritual, we've got the Shroud of Silence. And from what I've read, and again, I'm not going to go through this completely. We will go over it once we get into this book's disciplines. But the Shroud of Silence literally is silence of death from older systems. I'm gonna completely destroy this. The Ave Pyramidum. This is pyramid of something. The creation of the Praesidium is a direct retort to the destruction of the Council of Seven and the attack on the Prime Chantry, rallying around the notion of never again. The Praepositors, damn you Tremere, are an ultra-reactionary militant front against those who would war with the clan, including those Tremere they appraise as irredeemable. These magi procure boons and assets for themselves as mercenaries for needy Camarilla domains. The organization has even taken upon themselves the responsibility of re-educating those who take liberal stance on embrace, those whom they deem unworthy. The Praesidium view of the clan Tremere of the 20th century and prior as an ideal state, and aspire to emulate the clan prior to its joining the Camarilla, where they could experiment freely, make temporary pacts to organize defenses for themselves, and spend time building up their own forces of blood sorcery, forged bodyguards, and shock troops. So we're talking about gargoyles. Again, those Tremere who are aware of them in these nights, often refuse to speak of the group, and that's how the Praise Diem like it. So that's about as far as we're going to go on that one. So we are actually looking out at a new group of Tremere who want to go backwards in time 500 years and create the Tremere pyramid as it was before it was watered down by Camarilla politics. So we have a path of the pyramid, effectively, for the Tremere. The leadership of the cult drills key 4 tenets into the followers. Never work against the pyramid hierarchy. The key to the Praise Diem, I know I'm screwing these words up, is to bring a return to the order of perfection of Clan Tremere before the chaos of the modern knights. Any who stand in the way of the order have forfeited their right to call themselves magi and should be destroyed. Always preserve the order of the domain. The strong structure of the pyramid is at its best when it reflects outward into the surrounding society. The Praise Diem must remind the Camarilla of the harmony and security that can be brought about by allowing its members to monitor and secure Camarilla domains. These are people who want to police the Camarilla without actually being part of the Camarilla. That's kind of nuts. They're literally putting clan first, Camarilla second, as they really should. If other sects or authorities wish to benefit from the order, they too may enjoy it so long as they contribute to rebuilding the cult and clan. So in other words, these could very well just be mercenary Tremere that, like, if the Anarchs decide that to combat the Camarilla they need a chantry in the city, that could be put in place. Always retain the secrets of the clan in their scramble to ensure their own petty survival. The faithless members of House Karna, Ipsissimus, and Gortrix have bargained away sacred knowledge from within the vaults of the elders of our clan. Any such knowledge, artifacts, or secrets must be returned to their ownership of the pyramid. Those responsible for their losses must be publicly destroyed as an example to all. Your body is a weapon to be honed. The cult's power is the strength of the members. They are not only scholars, they are also soldiers who guard the walls within which the scholars study. The Praise Diem encourage its members to cultivate, exercise, and combat regimes, despite their undead state. This is such a neat idea. The whole idea of warrior wizards, you know, and I love the idea of this as a path of enlightenment specifically. And we got some NPCs here. Oh my god, that's so beautiful. Look at this. Look at that. There's a lot of people who are trying to come up with great ideas on how paths should work. Daviga 31. In fact, I'll stop right here on this beautiful picture. Daviga 31, the guy who plays Sam Heron in my game, is an avid Tremere player. He loves playing Tremere. It's really funny because he plays such a great Tremere who hates the structure of Tremere. He works within it, but like he just beats himself up. His idea is that there should be that blood sorcery should be the one discipline that has like maybe up to 10 level 1s, up to 10 level 2s, and you should be able to pick and choose what you want out of it, and that every Tremere would be slightly different in that fashion, knowing different ways to hone their abilities. Me, on the other hand, I think that a good 3 or 4 rituals based on each path of thaumaturgy would have been a great way of handling things. I really, really like the way that the green path and the and Laura Flames are represented in Cults of the Blood Gods. Okay, moving on. Dreams of Golconda. The Children of Salvation. The Children of Salvation believe vampirism is not a curse, at least not in the Bible sense, but a demonic infestation. Through diablerie, they believe the demon's essence can be captured in a single Cainite host and exorcised from the world. The cult is fanatical in this pursuit. And why shouldn't they be, when the ability to rid both mankind and the Cainite host of the infestation is within grasp. The Children of Salvation are literally anti-infernalists. Now, I don't know how right they are. This obviously is something that you'd have to decide for yourself, which is the Ritual of Salvation. The children's ritual does not have a write-up. If it works, it's because the characters earnestly work towards it, and the group is running a Golconda chronicle. It is based on blood sorcery, but that too is no obstacle. Salvation's hunt imbues the last child with innate knowledge needed to perform the ritual. This is so bizarre. I love this. The idea of running a full-on chronicle for Golconda. These are Golconda-seeking anti-infernalists. Their path of enlightenment states the fast until strictly necessary. Oh my God! They're exsanguinists. There was a group of exsanguinists, the Mitzi, that were in the old Sabbat book. That was just so freaking bizarre to see. Just vampires who refuse to feed. The children view hunger as a literal demon and their sworn immortal enemy. They're meticulous and disciplined about feeding. They even adhere to meditation-guided fasts. Wow. Obey the call of the hunt. The best time for an acolyte to kill an Atron. Like I said, guys, you got to read through this thing. I'm going to read this whole thing cover to cover, I'm sure, like a bunch of times, but I'm so getting into this. And the thing is, cults are just like really just a big thing in this game right now. The best time for an acolyte to kill an Atron is right at the start of the hunt, before the Atrons can warn each other that the first child has called it. They need to strike quickly and decisively, though. The children leave no room for sympathy once the hunt begins. Don't hesitate. Nobody must come before the cult's well-being. In the end, only one child can remain. The Atrons encourage all children to prepare a last will of sorts, in case they are not the last child. This might be an encrypted USB stick holding access information to a Swiss bank account, or the key to a vault containing rare Cainite lore. A recent conviction going back to World War I. Its purpose is to give the last child all possible resources to start anew as the first child. Always strive to banish the demon. This is the children's ultimate purpose. It's a glorious triumphant pinnacle celebrating a near millennium of work. And it hasn't happened yet. But every child believes they will be the one to finally do it. We're looking at this massive, like, self-centered Golconda. This is the purpose of there can be only one, but, like, you're also not trying to kill the other members of your cult. This is such a neat aspect. Like, the whole is, you're gonna die, but you don't believe that. It's such a weird... The convictions of the children, this is definitely a path of enlightenment. You can't argue. No. There's no. Butterflies. To the butterflies. Golconda. I can't help but see little Nicky with the, like, believe in the butterflies. To the butterflies. Golconda is a promise of transformation through the emulation of other creatures and the aspiration to change oneself. One might achieve metamorphosis into a better, more divine being. This almost sounds like a altruistic version of Path of Metamorphosis, which is very, very interesting, because we've actually been talking, again, this is Daviga 31, with the way his character has been reacting, we've been talking about him possibly falling ass backwards into Path of Metamorphosis, which is just something that I see would happen to a lot of Tzimisce. The butterfly's conviction. Always strive to change your rigid crystalline nature. We evolve from caterpillars to crystal. Okay, sorry. I read that wrong. I was like, no, vampires are evolving from caterpillars. We evolve from caterpillars to chrysalis, and only when the rigid nature breaks down internally can we return to life and achieve the rapture. The rapture. Never feed without consent. If the household cannot provide, the family brings us willing mortals. Never allow the beast to take over. We feed enough to prevent our beast from taking over us no more. Always submit to whatever forfeit the house sees fit to impose. When we fail in our tasks, whether great or small, our household imposes forfeits and punishments upon us, commiserate with our failures or our fault. We submit to these with gratitude, as we know our household loves us and wishes us only to lead us to rapture. So rapture literally is their version of what Golconda is. This is so freaking cool. Seriously, if you guys have not gotten a hold of this, I suggest you do. This one actually comes with, like, the household. Like, it ups your traits and stuff. This is a pretty darn good cult. But it's still a cult. Oh my god, look at that. Look at that. Completely impaled. Beautifully done. Whoever did these pictures is amazing. The Eremites, vampires, are by necessity social creatures. Therefore, the kindred known as the Eremites, who extol the virtues of isolation and starvation, are one of the strangest, most troubling Golconda cults in existence. It's a rare eremite who isolates themselves, but bringing isolation and therefore enlightenment to others. That's where these Golconda seekers specialize. What? I wish I brought a book. Eremites who follow the cult credo and isolate themselves from others for years at a time are unlikely to be player characters unless the storyteller runs a solo player game. However, these isolated stylites make for excellent SPCs possessing forgotten lore, who must be sought out in a dangerous area, or antagonists controlling a group of mortals interfering with the player's character's objectives. Other acolytes are unwilling, having been snatched away and thrust upon a pole somewhere in the back of Beyond and need saving. Likewise, a player character might play a failed eremite, or a vampire who discovers this path and explores it between stories. Don't let the idea of characters outside the normal template deter you from their use. Every cult and cultist can find effective incorporation in somebody's story. So, Eremites' convictions. The Eremites are independent souls and, as such, do not form a common consensus of many matters. They do, however, agree on 3 main points, which are sufficient for them to consider themselves a religion, even if they are not highly organized. Never feed more than necessary. Many Eremites describe this as becoming lighter. They train themselves to manage on less and less vitae, believing this enables them to control their hunger. I like the concept of training themselves to need less blood. I really see that as basically just increasing their willpower over time to make it so that you can continuously do rolls on minimal blood without frenzying. Never succumb to the lure of wealth. Stylites, I love that name. Stylites believe the presence of worldly delights and material goods feed the desire of the beast. If a being remains in contact with anything that provokes desire, the desire persists to keep them from Golconda. So we're looking at vampire minimalists. I kind of like that. Always deny the beast's desires. Starved of all its desires, the beast becomes quiescent. The vampire becomes free from the tyranny of thus reaches Golconda. That is such an interesting grouping. Okay, so what? We got Seal the Beast Maul. Again, not going over any stuff, but I want to know exactly what this does. Through rigorous discipline and training, this individual has learned to exert their will to to stave off the call of hunger for a short time. By concentrating on the death of desire, they force the beast to subdue, enabling them to ignore its insatiable demands. Doing so is a gamble, as it can increase the vampire's hunger in the attempt. So you can actually like bypass how hungry you are through meditation. That's such a cool thing. The Hunters of the Golden Cicada. Oh my god. The story of Golconda spread among the downtrodden neonates of... Come on, guys. Chongqing? I apologize for screwing that up. I'm pretty sure I did. If I did not, please, whoever knows how to pronounce that, let me know. I'm very, very interested, and I don't want to do it again. The story of Golconda spread among the downtrodden neonates of that area half a century ago. They say that decades or centuries ago, someone found the way to the mythical state and has had the audacity to teach it to others ever since, provided that you can attract their attention by following their teachings. So this is yet another Golconda cult. Oh my god, look at that. Look at the detail. It's so pretty. Alright, so convictions of the hunters of the Golden Cicada. So I'm guessing, like, in my opinion, this would be the path of the Golden Cicada. Seek your path. Don't interfere with another's. You are seeking Golconda using the lessons passed on to us from the great teacher, but your path is personal. Cultivate the vessels of Golconda using the lessons as a guide. Do not interfere with the ways of others on your own path. I like the idea of shut the hell up and let people do what they're doing and worry about yourself. That's nice. I think a lot of people should be on this path. Do not allow cruel treatment of the living. The kind represent a unique chance to achieve the glorious state of Golconda. By purifying their spirits, you purify their blood. By purifying their blood, you elevate them. By taking their blood, you elevate yourself. Only eat the pure, and it is cultivation of purity that is good for you to feed from. That is amazing. Never fail to offer others your teachings. It is your responsibility to light the spark of Golconda in others, should they listen. The lessons of the great teacher are easy to grasp, yet difficult to master. Therefore, we have been given eternity. Find others who might set themselves on this path. Select carefully, for few can complete the journey. I like that. Offer that you can help people, but don't try to ram it down their throats. I love that. No proselytizing, but offering. Always follow the great teacher's instruction. The great teacher watches us all as we imbibe the blood of the vessels and grow closer to Golconda. The great teacher will call you for the final lesson when you are prepared to learn. Heed that call, for it is the last you shall ever need to answer. This reminds me so much of this, like, before V5 came out, back when I was still running out of the old second edition revised book, we had an ancient salubri on the mountain who was teaching people Golconda. But the thing is, like, when you got there, he was going to Diablerize you. Like, the great teacher really just seems like some, like, I'm going to eat all the Golconda people. Might be evil, but, you know, just a thought. Oh, look at that. I love the great detail in these people. Like, I can actually see humanity in the eyes of these individuals. Gehenna cults. We just got done looking at Golconda cults. So the Gehenna cults say, let's see, the whispers of the dead carry with them the knowledge that they aren't like other Cicada. They are best among them, the new generation of the clan of the dead, the renewal so many necromancers preach. Oh my god, look at it! Look at it, it's so pretty. Okay, so whispers are the the Gehenna cult run by the Cappadocians, or run by the Cicada. So if you are on the path of whispers, we'll say that. It says, always seek new whispers. The Whispers always seek those who may have been cast off or abandoned by the Cicada at large. They also reel in thin bloods or caitiff, whom they might take advantage of. Seek new members or new rubes to support the true Whispers. I like that. I like the idea of bringing in the caitiff and the thin bloods and not giving them the full responsibility of a standard Whisper, that's held for the Cicada themselves, but letting them be disciples is very interesting. It's like the Cicada are the priesthood of this group once they've earned enough status in it. Never turn your back on new information, no matter the danger. The Susurrus see it as their duty to collect information to serve the speaker, and therefore the Capuchin. Knowledge is power. Whispers see it as the sacred duty to provide as much information about their domains as possible. This is really starting to feel a lot like a non-Sabbat version of Path of Death and Soul. Book no disrespect towards the Capuchin. At the speaker's behest, members of the Susurrus are expected to give blood, financial resources, or anything else asked of them in return for the place the Capuchin has given them in the coming nights. These titles are used to build the Capuchin's coffers for the glorious day when those chosen will come to lead the clan of death. Oh my god, the idea of the clan of death is such a heavy rotational thing. You had the Cappadocians followed by the Giovanni, and now we got the Cicada. It's just something that constantly changes and evolves. It's such an interesting thing. Considering the fact that the promise of 1528 is going to be over in like 6 years, I'm very interested to see what World of Darkness is going to be doing with that. Never speak, always whisper. The Susurrus must never come to the attention of anyone outside the chosen. The Whispers police junior members and encourage junior members to police one another. Any breach of trust or secrecy is dealt with swiftly or reported to the speaker himself. The Capuchin, through the speaker, smiles upon and rewards those who watch out for his inner circle. So this isn't actually like you have to like whisper everything. This is more just like keep the knowledge of the Whisperers to the Whispers. It does make a lot of sense. Loyalty to the cult comes first. There will come a time when the Susurrus becomes a royal to wash over the clan of death. Be ready to stand and reveal yourself when the decree arrives. Gain as much power as you can while remaining hidden. When the time comes, the Capuchin will reach out his hand and expect you to take it. I love the idea because the Capuchin is such a huge pivotal member of the Cappadocians, and he's the reason why they got out of Kamakali, and the reason why I think the family reunion happened all in all. And the fact that he still has plans under his plans is just so amazing to me. The Orphans of Enochs. Those aware of the Orphans of Enoch existed aren't quite sure where in the world they came from or how they originated. Most agree they formed when the red star shone in the sky, to those who could see it, during the events that more superstitious kindred call the Week of Nightmares. So this is yet again another Gehenna cult, but this one is a relatively new one if it started. Oh my god, what are they doing now? What are you doing? So if you are an Orphan of Enoch, here are your path of the orphan, I guess. Never turn away the chance at prophecy. Find those who know it is the end and that Gehenna is real and alive. Those that feel that tension in their heart are worthy to stand safe in the first city. Find them, for they are the brick in the road to Enoch. Never abandon your territory. A lost must not abandon their place of landing. They must interpret the signs. Bind the orphans found to act as your agents. Bind them in ritual and blood. Protect them, for they are your eyes, ears, and hands. Never consider yourself lesser than other kindred. All the orphans lost and found have been chosen through fire, destruction, and tribulation. We were born and cast to the winds. Surviving and holding nothing back made us worthy. Should we prove unworthy, then our bones shall become the mortar of the Enoch to come, the Enoch that is, and the Enoch that has been. Always fulfill the prophecies of Gehenna. This world will fall. We come from the first city to build the first city. We hold in our dead hearts the knowledge of what is to come. Remove the implements to Gehenna's completion. Gehenna will happen. Gehenna is happening. It is inevitable. Do not seek to hasten it, simply to ensure it. You know, these guys actually kind of feel like the Chatterlings, like surviving Chatterlings from the Black Hand, like the true Black Hand. The third day is a prominent Noddist plague cult. Plague cult! Yay, disease! With a primary coterie based in Antwerp. While they blend some theory from the Book of Nod Chronicles of Secrets, much like the Church of Cain, they defer their religious veneration for the beckoning itself. The true members of the cult worship the beckoning and believe it's the work of a potent Methuselah, a lost antediluvian, or a member of the feared second generation. Path of the third day. We must protect our work at all costs. The cult believes that the Liber Harne Lassa Pacifier, dude, it's Latin, is the path forward. The third day will protect their knowledge of the beckoning at all cost. Endure and rise above the beckoning. The beckoning is not something cured, but conquered. This act of defiance proves the third day worth to the antediluvians or those of the second generation who created this plague. So they consider the beckoning itself as the plague, and they worship the beckoning. This is so weird. Feed from the weak. The third day sees no reason to feed on victims who fight, meaning their palates are rarely exposed to heady Discarias. Never hesitate to kill those lacking the blessings of Vitae. While debated, the prevailing school of thought within the cult is that other creatures are misguided at best and deniers of Gehenna at worst, and will do nothing to drive Cainites away from their true calling. In the end, the genocide of those who are not of kind or kindred is required because the Book of Nod says so. Oh, look at that. Oh my god. Tell me that's not... Oh, that's beautiful. Seriously, guys. Ruinous beliefs. Bloodless pilgrims. Oh my god. Look. Okay, so Path of Purity. Path of Purity. The kindred interested in joining the bloodless must drink only animal blood for at least 6 months. Those outside the cult tend to view its members through the lens of the initial requirements, seeing them as feeble farmers on a ridiculous path to nowhere. Okay, so we have a new ritual called the Bloodless Feast. The culmination of Hutter's study of the blood. This ritual is deceptively easy to learn and to cast, but far reaches in its effects. Oh, that is so pretty. Okay, so what does it do? I guess we're going to read the system on this one. I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'm really curious. A successful ritual fills the chalice to the brim at the end of 3 hours and kills the human victim. The clear liquid produced functions exactly like fresh blood from the human victim for the next hour, carrying any resonance and dyscrasia the victim exhibited. Since the victim must be unconscious during the ritual, anything but a phlegmatic resonance is difficult to obtain. If the vampire drinks nothing but the liquid produced from the ritual for the period of a month, her vitae turns completely clear. That is what? Oh my god, what is going on? What? Okay. Okay, so let's go check the path of the pilgrims, the convictions of the bloodless pilgrims. Oblivious to Hutter's true intentions, members of the bloodless pilgrims adopt convictions around the scripture of the order, gradually adapting their views of morality as the cult draws them further in. Never drink blood from humans. The founding conviction for entering the bloodless, most potential members already feel this way before they hear about the order and choose to join to find another way to survive. So these are just people who are just like, I don't want to drink blood. Always commit penance after touching blood. Bad vampires, whether held over from mortal religious beliefs or learning through indoctrination. Members of the bloodless shun blood, human and animal, in all forms. Members who still rely on animal blood to survive often commit themselves to penance after each feeding, though Scripture forgives them for their failings until they are able to learn to survive without it. Pray once every night without fail. Any kindred without clear blood is tainted, and only dedication to ritual and scripture will bring purity. Postulants and novitiates connect to their beliefs through hours and hours of prayer. The cult sets no minimum, but encourages members to stay consistent despite any obstacle they encounter. This is such a neat cult. Look at this, like the clear blood coming. This is so cool. Then we have the Children of the Devourer. In the Canadian wilderness, 4-hour drive north of Saskatoon, into the middle of nowhere, there's a small town called Ironwood. It has the only gas and motel for miles, and the food they serve at the Greasy Spoon Diner is nearly edible. Like, this is such a cool idea, just like this little Canadian town, which is just pretty much given itself over to what it is. So, conviction of the Children of the Devourer. So this is, I guess, the path of the Devourer, the path of the Children of the Devourer. Protect Ironwood with your life. Many of the children grew up in Ironwood, while others helped it to grow from a tiny settlement into a prosperous town. Dogs are barking in the background. Protecting Ironwood from crime and degeneration comes naturally to Angraboda's children and ensures a healthy and obedient herd. Okay, again, I really haven't read into any of this at all, but I do want to point out that Angraboda is actually it's a character from Norse myth. It's actually one of the, it's said to be the mother of the children of Loki. So Fenrir, Hel, and the Midgard serpent, Jormungandr. So this thing is actually the bringer of the end of the world in all cases. It's a horrible giantess who caused a lot of problems in a lot of different versions of the Norse myths. Always eschew material wealth. Money and possession means little to the children, who live most of their lives in the cult's underground caves. Newer members sometimes take pride in living the life of an ascetic in devotion to their apocalyptic god. Support your family in all things. The children are a family of the blood of Angraboda, and often a kinder family than the ones from which new members are embraced. Many members share a profound loyalty to one another, aside from their shared obedience to the Methuselah they serve. So is Angraboda a Methuselah? That's terrifying. Oh my god. As somebody who has read a lot of Norse myth, that's terrifying, the idea. Oh my god. So then we have the Penny Dining Club. There's so many cults here, and so many different, like, paths of enlightenment. It really, really is. So we have a new thaumaturgy ritual here called Enrich the Blood. This ritual increases the potency of human blood, allowing the kindred to take the same sustenance from smaller quantities of blood. Performing this ritual is central to club activities, allowing more mouths to taste from the same vessel, and facilitating the comparative culinary critique. Only humans can be targeted by this ritual. It has no effect on the blood of kindred. So, what are. Oh, God, there's another one. Enhanced dyscrasia. A unique flavor is a treat to be shared, and the busy members of the Penny Dining Club seldom have time to do so slowly or safely. This ritual allows multiple kindred to partake in dyscrasia without destroying it or having to wait for it to recharge. Generally, the thaumaturge will perform Enrich the Blood on the target first to stretch their choice dish further. Is there a path? Okay, I do not see a path for this. Libations, entrees. This is amazing. I love this whole concept. In fact, with the whole thing that I'm doing right now, with that story, Strawberry Syrup, which again is on our community tab. If you have not read it, it is a short story. You should read it. The author is amazing and also runs a Facebook group called Geeky Vengeance. You should definitely check her stuff out. But I'm using a lot of the ideas from that in this, or in my game, and having it be part of the Penny Dining Club is actually something that's kind of tickling around in my head right now. Getting the brain juices bubbling, as I have not said in a while. The soldiers of adversary. Some kindred believe that the apocalypse is nigh. But the soldiers of adversary believe it's already here. The world ended years ago. Exactly when hardly matters. The biblical end times are unfolding now before the blind eyes of humanity. Over the next few years, decades at the most, the battle between good and evil will be decided once and for all. The kindred, fallen creatures that they are, must pray the adversary and his forces win and work towards a victory at all cost. If they lose, the punishments will be eternal, and the searing pain of mortal flame will be nothing compared to the burn of hellfire. Whoa, we have actual Satanist vampires here. That's what this is. Because we are talking about the fallen angels, we are talking about Lucifer himself. This is pretty freaking cool. Let us see what the convictions of the soldiers of the adversary have to say. The soldiers of the adversary are somewhat vexed when it comes to controlling the beast, which Molinaro teaches is the voice of the adversary himself within them. Obeying the beast is central to the entire system of belief, but doing so carelessly makes the soldier ineffective at infiltrating or surviving among the kind. Molinaro resolves this contradiction by teaching that the beast, while a powerful master, has gone mad from eons of torturous existence in hell. His soldiers must balance obedience with practicality and maintain the connection to an earthly existence with convictions that may frustrate the beast, but which will ultimately serve the adversary's interest. Guys, this is the Baali. This is the Baali. If you take out the concept of the Baali being a specific clan, if you just make them the idea of higher instinct infernalists again, this really is what we've got. Let's dig into this, because I know a lot of people who were having issues with this book were specifically upset because the Baali don't exist. And what I'm seeing is that the word Baali is not here, but the concept of who the Baali are, of them being infernalist kindred. And I've never really considered the Baali infernalist because they don't bow to demons. They control demons, but they do serve those who are beyond the shroud, which would be the beast, the children, the higher demons. Obey the prophet of the beast. The soldiers see Molinaro as a filter for the adversary's will, translating his desire into actions for the soldiers to carry on. Obeying him serves the adversary's plan, even when doing so goes against the beast's instincts. Do not fight your own kind. Some soldiers take this as the mean of all kindred, while others confine the tenet to members of the cult. Either way, Molinaro preaches unity. The forces of hell can only triumph when they stop fighting one another and work together. Always offer your life in place of your companions. Losing the apocalyptic war will mean eternal torment for every vampire, a fate worse than death. If they can win, all the damned will rise again to rule a hell on earth. So being hurt now, or even suffering the final death in the name of the cause, is well worth the sacrifice. Never kill when you can corrupt. The kind have their own role to play in the apocalypse. The souls empowering either heaven or hell as they die depend on the life they've lived. Killing mortals is easy. Turning them to vice and encouraging them to corrupt others is hard. The latter is more worthy and strategic service to the adversary. Guys, come on. This is Path of Evil Revelations. This is Bali. This is Bali. Like, come on, guys. Path of the Hive, Path of Evil Revelations. This is amazing. I'm scanning this just in case to see. It says here, Santiago Molinaro, whatever. This guy, Santiago here. Santiago is a Bruja, and I'm just going to point out the fact that the Bruja were very, very intertwined with the Bali when it came to Carthage. So just keep that in mind. But it really does seem like we do, in fact, have Bali now. This book is also giving us more merits and flaws, it looks like. Yay. Let's see. Many of these new merits and flaws cover matters relating to faith, cults, and the practices of kindred who dedicate their eternal service to Methuselahs. So, semblance of the Methuselahs. Whether you're aware of it or not, you have a striking resemblance to a Methuselah of your line. Penitence. In pain you find absolution. By scourging yourself, lashing your skin with a whip, driving needles into your flesh, or some other self-abusive act, you affirm your faith. This is awesome. Horrible scars, unholy will. Your will and the soul are the bulwark against the powers of true faith. You may have spent many nights upon holy ground. Zealotry, crisis of faith, contagions. There is stuff here that you can definitely do. We got lore sheets. All right, guys, going through this, there are 6 new lore sheets in here. And considering about how excited I am, I might actually just... I think I'm going to go ahead and put the... I'm going to put the Anarch book aside for right now, because we just finished the Camarilla book for lore sheets. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do Forbidden Religions. So you can look forward to probably this Monday. I'm not really sure if this was going to... I don't know if this video that I'm working on right now is going to come out tonight, which is Sunday, or Monday. I don't really know, but you can look forward to Monday having the 1444 chamber coming out. But I think we're going to go ahead and do these 6 lore sheets before we jump into the Anarch guide. So guys, this is amazing. This is a great book. I really love it. That last thing that we read, though, the soldiers of the adversary, that it really does seem like Bali, or at least some form of infernalism in some fashion. And it really does, like, I mean, we'll just see where it has to go. So yeah, no, for me, I really think that this book does offer a lot when it comes to cults, obviously, but also just in general gameplay, because these are, seriously, in my opinion, I could be wrong, and if there is a member of World of Darkness who watches this, and I do know every once in a while somebody pops up, but if there is a member of World of Darkness who's actually watching my videos and they check out this book review, I'm sorry, that it's like an hour and a half long, at least upon recording. I'm gonna cut it back a little bit, but let me know, is this your idea of what Paths of Enlightenment for player characters would be? In which case, like, when I'm running Sabbat, because I will, regardless of what people's intentions are, when I'm running Sabbat, the Paths of Enlightenment that are in the Sabbat book, the tenets that it gives are the tenets that or the convictions that it gives act as the chronicle tenets for the players who are on that path. Like currently, we have Gabriel, who's on Path of Night, which is a subset of Path of Cathari. So that is just the way my brain works. So I am Voivode Maquette. This book is amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed the run through. I hope I wasn't too wordy or anything like that, but I am very much looking forward to incorporating a lot of what I've just seen, because this was my first look into this too, aside from like a quick glance over when I first got a hold of it. But yes, I am Voivode Maquette. This is our World of Darkness and our look at forbidden religions. And this look at forbidden religions is going to completely keep going into Metaplot Monday while we go over the 6 lore sheets that are available, starting with the chamber, the 1444 chamber, which is a Hakata specific lore sheet, and also digging into level by level as we get into the disciplines that are available in this book also. So I hope everybody has enjoyed themselves, and let's head on back to the Grand Library. Thank you for joining me in our Noddist library, and I will see you all in the next video. And I do have to say that Midnight Mass episode 2 is coming out very, very shortly on the dark moon of this month. So have a good evening.